your brain is going to explode with questions and concerns about parenting, education, and what is right for you and your child.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Mindful Mummies podcast. I'm Bree.
And I'm Stina.
And we're sisters-in-law with backgrounds in education, and combined we have 5 very busy boys.
Our hope is to create a community for parents where we can learn, laugh, and support each other.
We'll be joined by special guests who inspire us and bring different perspectives to the table.
Thanks for joining us.
With all that is going on in the world today, Stina and I have been racking our brains trying to figure out how in some way we can use our social platform to help others. We have had many ideas, but making them come to fruition has been tricky with 5 boys in the same house. However, one thing we know we can do is podcast anywhere at any time, as long as we have someone to watch the boys. And our husbands have kindly offered, since they are all home from work right now. So we thought, who do we know that could help us and our listeners find some balance and calm at this time of great stress and anxiety? We decided to call him Beverly Anderson, who has been in my life for a very long time. Beverly was introduced to me years ago by my mother-in-law. She is a registered social worker and a therapist with 25 years of counseling experience in the mental health field. She specializes in perinatal mental health and offers support, resources, and strategies for mental wellness. She has further specialization in compassionate bereavement care for those who have suffered perinatal loss. She also has experience in counseling individuals and couples around fertility issues, building alternative families, depression, anxiety, parenting issues, LGBTQ issues, life transitions, and relationships. As many of you know, I can go through bouts where I really struggle with anxiety. Beverly has been there throughout it all and always manages to bring me back to a place of rationale and calm when my life is feeling out of control. Beverly has been an amazing therapist to me and an amazing friend. And without hesitation, she accepted our request to do a podcast with her to talk about all of this today. We hope you enjoy. Hi, Beverly. Thanks for coming on the podcast today. Oh, we've got a little one here. Hey, just thank you so much for, without hesitation, coming on the podcast today. We've been racking our brains going, how can we help in some way? How can we use our social platform to just help all of our followers who are moms and they're all feeling really anxious right now, and so we thought, okay, I'm gonna call Beverly, see if she'll say yes to coming on, and you're here. Thank God, we need you right now. It has just been it's been such a whirlwind of stuff going on in this last week, and yeah, where do we start? I mean, it's been unbelievable to see the progression and how fast things are moving. And every morning, you turn on the TV and there's more, and there's just so much going on. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, first and foremost, I want to validate people's experience of anxiety. It's appropriate given the circumstances we're living in right now. And so I think that's always the place to start, right, is to be having some gentle self-talk with yourself around these are very intense times. This is a pandemic. This is affecting everyone around the world. We're social distancing, but we're very much united in experiencing this. So I'm often inviting my clients who I'm working with now to just start at that place. Gentleness, say, yeah, this is challenging, this is scary, and so that you're not arguing with yourself about what you should or shouldn't be feeling, right? Because that's going to take up a lot of your energy. That pulls you away from being more present to yourself, taking care of yourself, and being able to take care of your kids.
So as far as, how, first of all, I think what we had talked about before is being moms, you have to put on this brave face for your kids. And when you're struggling with your own anxieties, it's hard. It's really hard to do that. And And, you know, little things, it's like little things that show up. Like yesterday was my birthday, and, you know, the first thing is my kids want to go to they want to go to the dollar store, and they want to get decorations, and they want to do what we usually do for birthdays, which is get together with family, and having to explain to them that we can't do that right now. I think for me, like, especially because it was my birthday yesterday, I just felt this really, I just was sad. And I don't know if it was because I was just more emotional because it was my birthday, you know?
Well, happy belated birthday, first and foremost.
Yeah, thank you.
And of course you feel sad because things are not business as usual. Things are different. And what you said earlier about, you know, parents putting, and especially, you know, moms putting a brave face on, I think we have to be really nuanced about that, because we also need to be real with our kids. Now, I think there's ways we can be real with our kids without being alarmist. And I think this COVID-19 epidemic can serve to be a way of modeling emotional intelligence. And what I mean by that is, it's okay as a mom to say to your kids, yeah, I'm feeling a little bit more nervous right now, and where am I feeling that in my body? And when you feel nervous, where do you feel it in your body? Is it in your tummy? Is it in your throat? Or I'm feeling sad right now and there are tears behind my eyes, or maybe even you cry in front of your kids. That's not going to harm your kids. In fact, it's a gift to your kids, because you're modeling to them, feelings are okay. Feelings are not going to harm you, right? Like a virus might, you know, feelings are not a virus. And that it's important to lean into them and to show them also in the same breath, Mama's got big feelings, but I'm going to take care of it. You don't need to take care of me. This is Mama showing you how I take care of my big feelings. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think also, you know, what are some of the things that you can do on, like how important is it to be setting up that routine, and like what are the things that you can do just to keep the sanity, especially because we're all home, and now we're looking into months possibly of being home with our kids and keeping them busy, and it's really overwhelming, you know, the thought of it all. So
of course, yeah. And I think it is about striking the balance between, you know, planning ahead, but ultimately, I think the point of what's happening right now too is really, really teaching us again about how important the present moment is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, of course, as parents, we have to plan ahead. Of course, I mean, we got to make sure we have enough groceries and diapers and wipes. Some kids are more open with free play. Some need more structure. So it's about trusting yourself that you ultimately know your kids the best and what works for them. But it's also about you taking care of yourselves. And it's like, oftentimes for parents, the structure is the savior. And the structure is what allows us to feel less anxious, because it's like, okay, this is what our morning's going to look like. This is what we'll do in the afternoon. This is when we'll have, my kids have a relaxing playtime every afternoon, where I know I'm going to have a spot in the day where if I want to fret, if I want a nap, have a hot shower, you know, I have that sacrosanct time to do that. And
so let's go back for the last 10 seconds, because what you said, you were talking about being present and staying in the moment.
That I was talking about, striking the balance between, you know, planning ahead and having structure and you know, trying to predict what we can predict, but also that this whole pandemic, I think, is a very powerful lesson around being in the present moment, staying in the present moment, because things are changing so rapidly. So even if we make plans ahead of time, they could be completely, you know, pushed aside because of new information that we're gathering. And I think that's the place where we're all going to feel less anxious and more empowered, because that's all any of us have anyway, is the present moment in terms of what we can actually do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Like I'm struggling. Part of me wants to, you know, start mapping out all the lessons I'm going to teach and create a shape of the day for my kids and figure out how to do all this. But then at the same time, I don't know, like, if we're going to be able to go to the park the next week or not.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think you have to look at self-care. Like, if planning is something that reduces your anxiety and allows you to feel like you're taking better care of yourself, I think you do it, but you're not too attached to those plans, if that makes sense. So it's about, I'm going to write this down, I'm going to have this outline, but ultimately things could change, and I'm going to be able to flow and bend with that.
Yeah, totally. I'm struggling too with like with my kids. They feel like it's spring break. So my 8-year-old is like, "What, Mom? Why do I have to do schoolwork? It's spring break right now." You know? And so I'm like, "Okay, so how long do I go on letting the like extra screen time happen and letting sort of, you know, the later bedtimes go before I've got to like rein it back in and get organized." But yeah, we're figuring that out.
I mean, I think that's a really good question, and I think again, if we come back to having a mindset of as if, like, you're on March break right now, and so maybe it is about, you know, if normally on March break you have more flexible bedtimes, if there is more screen time and less schoolwork, then allow that, but be really clear with your kids. Like, look at the calendar and say, okay, this is what we're doing, but this is when March break ends. And then, you know, March 30th, when we are supposed to be back in school, that's when you can say, oh, well, this is when we're getting back to more of our normal routine, so you can expect lessons, homework, earlier bedtime, that kind of stuff. I think it's about living as if, right?
Yeah. So for the moms and dads who are home with their kids right now and just feel like kind of trapped and moving forward, like as the restrictions might increase, like, do you have any recommendations for like ways to find little moments of time or like ways to take care of themselves as parents? Because I know I'm definitely struggling with that right now. Like the last 2 days, I realized I'm like, I didn't eat until 4:00 both days.
Right.
Because I was just like, go, trying to like make sure that, you know, we're making food and we have enough food and worrying about all those things and trying to help my husband who's trying to work from home, keeping the kids away from him in a small space. And yeah. How do you...
Yeah, I mean, I often say to people, when you're in exceptional circumstances like this, it is the time to actually ramp up your self-care and do radical self-care. So I think it's about, I'm glad you're asking that question, because I think it's about parents getting really clear about, okay, and even if, you know what, if you need a checklist that you post on the fridge, like, have I hydrated myself today? What have I eaten, or have I eaten? You know, have I rested? Have I stretched? Have I gotten outside of the house for fresh air? Even if it's for a 15-minute walk around the block, because we still are not sequestered in our homes. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and on a day-to-day basis, it's like, I'm still allowed to go to the park, or I'm still allowed to walk down the street, or I'm still allowed to walk to the cafe down the street and get a drink to go. So it's like, on a day-to-day basis, it's asking yourself, and have I gone outside? Am I eating? How's my sleep?
Yeah.
And am I connecting with other people around that? And sometimes, you know, you have a buddy where it's like you have accountability with each other. And this is the beauty of your living arrangement.
Yes.
You know, having a buddy to say, hey, how's your hydration? What did you eat today? Right? How have you gone outside? Do you want to do a downward dog or sun salutation with me right now?
Yes. Yeah.
These little things, right?
Yeah. I love the idea of a checklist because I do feel like I'm kind of being obsessive about the news right now and reading a lot online and then also watching the news.
You
and
also have a friend who's a doctor too.
Yes.
So you're checking in with her a lot.
Yeah, and I'm checking in, you know, just trying to gather as much information as I can, but then also balance it. But it's hard because I'll like wake up in the night because I have a baby who wakes me up, and then my brain starts thinking about all the things, and then I'm like forcing myself to not pick up my phone at 4 a.m. to check the news to see what's happening in the world because things are going so fast it's hard to keep up. And so when your brain is like in this overload mode of trying to keep up with what's going on in the world and keep your family safe and stay in touch with everybody, but then also maintain your like regular life of trying to do laundry and get meals cooked and do everything, like it's so hard to remember to drink a glass of water or to to eat breakfast and have something. So I like the idea of a checklist. Like we do checklists for our kids, now we need to do it for us because we're just an overwhelm.
Yeah, and when we're anxious, I think we need more concrete reminders of what to do because of what's happening physiologically when we're in that flight or fight state, right? Our brain isn't not actually equipped
our brain is more equipped for survival. And, the nuanced things of like how much water I've been drinking or how much I've had to eat or if I've gone for a walk, if that's too much to ask of an anxious brain. And so if you have a prompt there, that's going to help bring you back down to reality. And then in terms of, anxiety.canada, I sent you the link, so I hope that's something you can offer to your listeners.
Yeah.
Anxiety.canada talks about taking a media diet, like being very mindful as well. It's kind of like, you can have a bowl of ice cream, but you're not going to have 15 tubs, right? Mm-hmm. The same can be said for the media you're consuming, where it's like, you check it maybe beginning of day, end of day kind of thing, so that you have these check-in points. Or in your, very unique living situation, it could also be, okay, on Mondays, I'm the one who checks the media. I'll do it 2 or 3 times, or I'll do it 3 times for, 30-minute increments, and then I report to everyone else. And then, so then you're letting everyone else off the hook. And they get media-free days, mm-hmm. right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then it's someone else's turn. So I think it's also about getting creative and also being really clear about what your sources of media are. Because Anxiety.Canada also talks about, just looking up like the BC Centre for Disease Control or the Vancouver Coastal Health Authority. Get your information from reliable, non-sensationalized sources because, of course, anxiety is, like gasoline on a fire.
Totally.
Right? So we don't want to be adding gasoline to the fire. You can add a log to the fire, but not gasoline.
Yeah.
So, how to be mindful about that as well. And, at 4 o'clock in the morning, there's not much you can do anyway, right? And so it's a wise idea that you are putting your phone down during that time. But again, and maybe you have that on your checklist about checking off how many times you've consumed media and for how many increments, so that once you see, I've already done it 3 times today for 15 minutes or 30 minutes, I am done for today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good idea. And really, like,
have, again, these limits.
And if it's something that is a big announcement, we're going to hear about it some way or another.
Yeah.
Like it's not. Someone will call us or text us, or it'll somehow get. Yeah.
Exactly, because you're not isolated in that regard. And it's like, there's emergency fan outs through cell phones. Like, I mean, if something, or, even worse happens, it's like, if they'll call you, you don't need to call them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I've been having these moments like throughout the day, and I feel like Bree, you're doing a better job coping with this than me.
I don't know why. I have no Beverly. Why am I doing better? Like, I don't understand. Can you give me the science behind that? Because usually I'm the freaking anxious mess.
And now I'm the one who's like, I'm crying 100 times a day, and I like all of a sudden will have a panic attack in the middle of the day, and I can't even. Yeah. And Bree's like, no, I'm okay.
It's bizarre. I'm a bizarre person.
You are a wonderfully.
Yeah, but Stina, if you're saying that you're noticing you're not eating until 4 o'clock in the afternoon, that is a big part of the problem.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's trying to drive your car without any gas. That car is going to break down.
Yeah.
Whereas Stina, so Stina, if you're saying that now, Brianne, if you're saying, well, I actually am keeping myself hydrated.
Well, right? But Beverly, how many years of practice do I have with this, right?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. But I think that goes well in your favor. Exactly, where it's like you've done a lot of work on familiarizing yourself with when you get anxious, but also some preventive measures you can take, or how to stop yourself from getting to panic attack mode. And so I think that's the difference, right?
Mm-hmm. Totally, yeah. And I mean, for like Beverly has worked with me for years on. When I do get anxious, I know, like, even though I still to this day get anxious, I've gotten really good because of Beverly reminding me that I need to ask myself, okay, what do I need right now to know that I can keep myself at this stable level of calm? And for me, like, it's like, there are non-negotiable, like there are things that I just have to do. It's non-negotiable. And that for me is getting up every morning and going for a run. Like that, getting my body moving and my heart rate up is crucial for me to keep myself at a stable level of feeling safe and feeling like in control of my life. And so that's something I'm making sure I do every day right now is going for a run.
Wonderful.
And then eating too, like it's important eating, because like giving yourself nourishment is huge. And then like sleep is massive. So if you're struggling with sleep right now because of your baby and because of stuff going on, like that has a huge effect on you. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Stina, it just sounds like there are more stressors for you right now, more challenges to you meeting your basic needs around. And so this is where my hope is that this is where you start to put your focus, right? Like a laser-like focus on eating, sleeping, hydration. And also, it's okay to have a big cry. I think it's important to have that kind of release. And if you're having panic attacks, my invitation over and above, making sure your basic needs are met, are first and foremost looking at physiologically what you need to do. Now, for Brianne, it's about going for the run. If that's not as practical for you because you have a young baby, it might just be doing some progressive muscle relaxation where you're scanning your body, you're lying down in your bed and you're tensing all of your muscles and then relaxing them, and doing that for 10, 15 minutes to just lower that baseline of tension. Other clients of mine like doing deep breathing exercises if they're not too escalated. I mean, if you're in a panic attack, it's really more about movement and the progressive muscle relaxation. But if you start to feel like you're ramping up, it might be about, okay, let me drop my jaw, because we're usually clenching our jaw when we're anxious. Let me drop the jaw and let me start doing some deep, in through the nose, breathing, exhale through the mouth, to just let your body know you're safe and you're not in danger, right?
Yeah, I do that. I mean, I am a yoga teacher. I should be better at these kinds of things. But I do. Deep breathing is definitely something I do. And exercise is crucial to me as well. It is more challenging to get all three kids out to do something. I used to wake up at like 5:30 in the morning and do my workout then. But because I've just been struggling with sleep so much right now, I'm finding it really hard to wake up that early in the morning to work out. But I do think that moving forward, if we are not able to go for runs and walks, I'm going to have to do that. I'm going to have to just find a way to work out in the house. And Bree and I have already talked about, we're going to have a little, like gym set up where we'll do our workouts together and try and encourage and inspire other people to do the same thing as well. Yeah, definitely.
It's so interesting because yesterday like I said, I think I was just extra emotional on my birthday. I don't know why. It's just funny, but the one thing that just kept coming to mind was that we're losing time with our loved ones. And I don't know if that was just a thing yesterday that I was going through, but I just talking to because it was my birthday, and then not being able to see my friends and my family, and talking to people on FaceTime or on the phone. And I was so emotional when I talked to my mom and dad yesterday, and they, they're just saying, happy birthday, honey, and we're just all doing what we need to do to take care of ourselves right now. And it's just so hard because you don't know. I think it's so out of our control with how long this could last. And I just kept thinking, what if this goes on for months and I can't, my parents are in their 70s and I'm missing out on all this time with them, and then they're missing out on all this time with my children. And it was just, I don't know, it was just such a powerless feeling, and
yeah, so much of this feels like very out of, sorry, now I'm losing it too. So much of it feels like out of our control. And I think that it is so important to find ways to be present, because the more that you can take a deep breath and be like, okay, the cherry blossoms are so beautiful right now. When I'm walking the street, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to look at the cherry blossoms and take a deep breath. And
try and appreciate the little and simple things. And then appreciate also just, I kept saying to myself, okay, but I'm in a house with a backyard, and I have my children, and my children are safe, and my children are healthy, and we're all healthy right now, and we're not living in a third world country, and we've got food in our fridge, and I think just trying to focus on gratitude and where we are.
Totally.
Right,
and doing
now.
Some affirmations and
But I think, again, this is where, as a therapist, I'm consistently, encouraging and inviting my clients to find, find a middle ground with this, that you were entitled to your feelings, and you had a birthday, and a birthday is a ritual. It is a milestone that typically involves connection, touch, being together. So you're allowed to grieve that. You're allowed to feel sad about that. And you can give yourself permission to feel sad without comparing it to anyone else in this world. Just to lean into that feeling and to say, yeah, I feel sad. I feel disappointed, and I feel scared. Name it, own it, be with it. And then the interesting thing about feelings is, feelings just want, recognition, acknowledgement. And typically when we lean into them, they really don't take up that much of our time because we've acknowledged them and we've experienced them. And then once you move through that, then you can also say, okay, I've just had my sad time, my scared time, my overwhelmed time. I lean into that. Now I'm going to take some time to look at those cherry blossoms, to be grateful that my family is well. Like you're saying, all those things you listed about, this is where I live, and, we're thankfully in a low-risk area, all of those things that grant us perspective. But I think we don't want to banish either one of these places. We want to allow ourselves to visit both places of sadness, fear, worry, what ifs. I mean, the what ifs, as you did a what if, Brianne, that's beautifully said, because that's what anxiety does.
Yeah.
Anxiety is all about the what if. And so it's like you entertain that, but then you also come back to the present moment. This is what's happening. What is happening right now? What are ways that I can stay connected to the people I love that aren't the same as usual, but still maintain and cultivate a connection, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
So, this is, and it's like all these sort of Buddhist philosophies are showing up right around, finding a middle path. And also, how important meditation is for people, where it's about sitting with whatever it is that's showing up, but not necessarily weaving a story about it. Pema Chodron is a wonderful, wonderful writer, and she talks a lot about catastrophe and when living with uncertainty and when things fall apart is one of her most wonderful books. And, she talks about, feel the feeling, but drop the story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think the stories we tell ourselves are what keep things stirring, as opposed to, I'm feeling scared, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling powerless, I'm feeling uncertain. Okay, name that, but you don't necessarily have to add the story of, but this is why my parents are getting older. You know what I'm saying? You see
Exactly,
how adding those stories is, again, like adding gasoline to the fire.
It doesn't help. It doesn't help.
It does not help. Well, what it does is it stokes the fire. And what we want to do instead is say, I am allowed, so it is normal and natural and healthy to lean into feeling powerless and hopeless and scared and worried and upset and sad and angry and confused. So you name those things so that they have a voice, but you don't add the narrative. I mean, it's a powerful piece of advice. Pema Chodron is one of my favorite humans, and I appreciate her giving that kind of, sharing that kind of wisdom for people, and it's something I repeat a lot in sessions with my clients.
Mm-hmm. It's so true.
Yeah, and I've heard that before, the part about the stories we weave and with the stories we tell ourselves. And yeah, it's so important to remember, especially right now.
And so what can people do when they start to feel themselves going down that sort of snowball of like catastrophe?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's just about noticing it and going, whoops, here I go, right? Like, and asking themselves, do I want to keep going down this path, or is this not really resourceful for me right now? So I think it's about bringing that mindfulness to the moment and to decide, oh, I'm going down that slippery slope. Do I want to keep sliding down that slippery slope? Because sometimes you might need to. Or is there somewhere else I could be putting my attention and my energy right now?
Mm-hmm. And
right?
like,
do I need to hydrate myself right now instead? Or call a friend?
Right. And is distraction a good thing? Like, is that positive, or is that?
It can be. I mean, I think everything in its appropriate dose, right? I mean, I think, of course, distraction is important, but not if that becomes the only go-to that you have. And that's why I said earlier, it's still important to lean into whatever feelings you're having, right? We don't want to be repressing those or distracting, because the more you push them down, the more they're going to push back at you and come out in bigger ways, or they're going to get acted out behaviorally.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to mention as a tool, and I talk to a lot of my clients about this, is something called planned worrying. Dr. David Burns, he's quite the anxiety guru, and he's talked about this particular technique And it's basically about setting aside 20 minutes a day where you worry. So what you're doing is like having an appointment with yourself where you're going to worry, you're going to catastrophize, you're going to do all the things that we're normally telling people not to do, but you're going to do that for yourself. And the reason why they say 20 minutes is research has shown that if you worry about something for less than 20 minutes, you can typically problem solve effectively. Anything above 20 minutes, your capacity to problem solve completely tanks because you're too wound up and too anxious. So it's about setting aside 20 minutes a day where you're going to say, I'm going to worry about this. I'm going to worry about COVID-19. I'm going to worry about my family and the time that I'm missing with them. And then once you're done with those 20 minutes and your alarm goes off, that's your job then is to say, okay, I've done that for today. Now, of course, you're going to still have worried thoughts. Absolutely. But then your job is to say, oh, any future worry thoughts that are showing up in my head right now will be addressed at tomorrow's appointment with myself for planned worry. Yeah. And then, and I get a lot of feedback from clients, and then I always invite people after those 20 minutes, do something really nice for yourself. Like make yourself a cup of tea, play with your kids, like, again, do some stretching, have a snack, right? Like, that's when you can watch your, 30 minutes of your favorite show. Like, do something kind to reward yourself for having faced your fears.
Mm-hmm.
And then make sure you're following up with the appointment. And what a lot of clients tell me is, you know what, like, I get more anxious at first, which is pretty normal when I'm actually leaning into the anxiety. But, a few days in, 5 days in, a week in, I'm sitting there and I'm worrying. And at 12 minutes, I'm like, I'm kind of done. I'm kind of done here. I've worked for 12 minutes, but I've recognized that some of these things I can't solve, or I solved this problem, so I've got 8 minutes left. I'm going to leave class early. I'm going to leave this appointment early and go play with my kids, or go have some chocolate, or you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
And you're always allowed to leave early, but you can't stay late. Those are the rules, the parameters around planned worrying.
Interesting. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like your brain, I have lots of experience with this, but it is true. Your brain does just get like, it's like, well, you always say to me, because I'm always like, well, what if I can't stop? And like, what if it goes on and on and on forever? And you're like, no, it always stops. And your brain eventually just goes, all right, enough. I've had enough of this. I'm moving on. Everything's okay. Right now I'm safe. I'm breathing. My feet are on the ground. I can see my children playing. My husband's over there. My partner's over there, building something, whatever, doing, and yeah, you and for people that are experiencing maybe like, I know we need to finish up soon, but like I wanted to just touch on for people who are experiencing maybe anxiety attacks, like not just necessarily worry. I don't know if you have clients that are actually having anxiety attacks about this right now.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, like what are some comforting things that you can say to them?
Like affirmations.
Yeah, in the moment of an anxiety attack about this kind of situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of times if you're face to face with the person, it's just about saying, can you look at me right now? Can we breathe together? Sometimes it's important to, a couple of times when I've dealt with people having panic attacks, I've said, do I have permission to just sit at your feet and I just hold on to the arch in their foot? I just put some pressure on their feet, or I say to them, can you just hold your feet right now and put pressure? Or you take your shoes off and wiggle your toes on the carpet, or let's go into the backyard right now and put our feet in the grass, right?
Yeah.
Do something that's going to ground the person. That's why feet are important, because they're very grounding, right? So being able to do something physical and tangible, also inviting them to drop their jaw, right? Maybe doing some progressive muscle relaxation. Just say, you know what, can we tense our arms together right now and then release? Like, let's do that together. Splash cold water on their face, because oftentimes people are getting overheated. So it's really about doing these interventions that are physiological.
Like getting back into your body.
Getting back into your body and adjusting your body temperature. And for some people, it's movement. It's like, hey, let's do 20 jumping jacks right now just to relieve some of that tension. Or let's do the progressive muscle relaxation. Let's splash some water on your face. Let's go to the backyard right now in bare feet and just have our toes touch the grass and just tell me, feel those sensations. So it's very much those grounding, physically grounding exercises.
Totally. And I think those are possible to do either like supporting someone or
Yes.
on your own, because I know like some of
Yes.
our listeners are from the States, and there's different rules in different areas, right? So some people might be on their own at home and trying to self-isolate or on quarantine, and so finding like ways to do that for yourself, whether you're talking to someone on the phone who can support you via like FaceTime, but yeah, really good concrete things, or if you're supporting your partner that you live with, because I know there's for me like a hug really helps me, but I'm trying to imagine, I'm like, if I didn't have the hug,
Somebody to
how could I what are ways that I could still get that grounding feeling.
And I think also, like, for me too, one thing, because I think people get, it's like I know for me, and I know it's different for everybody, but it's like the fear of the fear, right? So you feel these intense feelings coming on, and maybe this whole COVID-19 thing is a trigger, but then you start to have these attacks, and then that gets scary, and to know that you always move through them. Like, they're not permanent. It's going to stop. And that when when you do move through it, then you have a new perspective. Like, it's not, you're able to see things more clearly, and it doesn't last forever. And
Exactly. There's always an end to it.
There's always an end. Yeah.
Oh, well, do you have any sort of final things or advice or tips you want to give people at this time? Or just last words as we sign off here?
For me, it's more about, I just like to summarize things. I think it's about, first and foremost, for people to just self-validate, to be like, it's okay to feel more anxious right now. It's okay to feel more stressed, and to be gentle with yourself right now. To make time to lean into your feelings, and also to make time to lean into gratitude, right?
Yes.
To take care of your body, to make sure you're getting enough water, getting enough food, getting enough sleep. That you're finding ways to connect with people despite the social distancing, and this is again where texting or sending virtual hugs, doing those kind of things that allow you to feel connected are important. And then, looking at these strategies, whether it's planned worrying, making sure you're getting enough exercise, doing things like progressive muscle relaxation, standing in in your grassy backyard, or just touching your own feet, splashing water on your face, making sure you're connecting with your sensations and doing things for your body when you're feeling overly anxious, I think are all the things I just wanted to summarize for people, and to just, remember to keep asking yourself, okay, like, what do I need right now, and what can I do right here and right now? But coming back to the present moment is what all of us have.
Yes.
And that's, I think, what we need to just keep gently bringing ourselves back to.
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
Beverly, where can people find you if they want to get in touch with you?
So my website is www.mariposapsychotherapyservices.ca. So if they want to learn more about me, they can check out my website.
Okay.
Awesome.
We'll put that on our link to the podcast, and
we're going to do a bit of research into some of the people that you mentioned, and we'll put together a blog post on our blog so that people listening to the podcast, if they want to learn more about some of the thinkers.
Like Pema Chodron and David Burns and Anxiety.Canada. I think those are the three most solid resources
awesome
to look at. Yeah.
Okay, and are you taking on clients right now still, or are you?
Yes.
You are.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
And I am offering phone sessions.
Okay, good to know. That's great.
That's important for people to know.
That's important for people to know, for sure.
Yes.
Okay, Beverly, thank you so much.
Thank you. We really enjoyed talking to you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's my pleasure. I hope you two are feeling a little bit better.
Yes.
Thank you.
And if there's anything